Hey crafty friends, it is day 2 of the 30 Days of Sketches, Christy's Beautiful Life, and this is our sketch today from Jess Hill of Lakeview Creative. And I have these photos from Walt Disney World's 25th anniversary of the castle that's all decked out in pink. It almost looks like a pink cake or a cupcake kind of thing. And then I had this paper that had all these wonderful colors in it, and I thought, oh, I'm gonna cut this out. I'll use it as part of my embellishment, kind of just getting a feel for it. So you can see here how I cut that out. I loved the pink plaids kind of going on. I thought that would work with the pink in the castle. So I decided I needed to cut down all of my photos first. I tend to be photo focused on my layouts. At least that's what I think I tell myself. Because I used to be all about the background pages and just putting making a really cute layout and then trying to put my photos within that frame or the sketch or the layout that was there, and it didn't always work. So now I'm trying to combine the two of look at the sketch and the photos that I have and see what I can do. So I decided to keep that daytime photo of the castle bigger, just to give the scope of looking down Main Street. And then these nighttime ones, I did think about not having all of them, just doing the two, but with our sketch today, which I'll show up here in the corner in a moment, and these photos, I think it just is going to work out better. I thought that little bit that I cut off was going to work right down in that corner. It's too big, it's too florally, it's the wrong direction. But then on the same paper pack, it has this wonderful kind of title already built in onto the background paper. So I'm going to cut that out because it says, "Dreams live here." Where else but in Cinderella's castle at Walt Disney World, are you going to get the "Dreams live here" to just work? So this is going to be my title piece. I'm excited to have this. I don't do a lot of titles from pocket page cards or those kind of things, but I think this is just going to work. So here's the layout that I'm going from. I'm kind of looking at it, and it has that mesh grid pattern kind of in the background with each corner. So I'm going to cut the zip strip off of our paper so that I can go ahead and hopefully use both corners of this page to make that framework for the center of this layout, kind of giving just some props for creating this wonderful design. So because I had cut that flower off, I'm missing the bottom corner, and all I did was cut a straight piece, and then I'm just kind of pulling it out and matching where that pattern lines up. I just trimmed that off with scissors. Thankfully, there's lines for me to follow. Normally, I don't cut a straight line with scissors for anything. So I'm going to line that back up again, push it into where everything is good, and then I'm just going to put tape on the back side. And I've decided that I'll do some sort of embellishment to cover that seam, but really, because of the busyness of the pattern paper, I don't really see it that much. So here you can see that I'm using my 3 nighttime photos of the castle as Jess has them, and my longer photo up at the top, replacing those 3 up there. I am tearing my paper towards me to give that white edge kind of as a step down from the pink into the green and then white into that center section. And I'm liking how this is feeling with the trees that you can see in the top photo. There's green on my title. I'm feeling this now. But I fuss with it a lot because my paper, 12 inches, isn't long enough to make that angle. And so just hide the snip right behind your photo and you're good to go. So I'm going to tear this one more time, and then you can see I turn the paper around because, again, I want that white edge to be towards the center. So to not have to cut and waste more paper, I just turn that around, and now I can slide that up under there, and I have kind of making mirror images as I'm closing the gap towards the center. I'm really thinking that do I want to do more mixed media? I did mixed media on day one's photo. Do I want to do that here? Do I need a different layout, a different color background? I'm trying this with the Capri color cardstock. I'm kind of liking this. I have these flowers that these I'm just using as placeholders to get an idea, kind of a feel for how big of embellishments I want to use. I like the Capri. It's a little bright or a little too dark. So thankfully Close to My Heart has a second shade of that on the back. It's a little lighter. Kind of, I call it a second generation of that color. So turned it over to use the light side, and now I'm just going to use my emery board here and sand off some of the color, because with the white core from Close to My Heart, I can just give it some texture, and it also just lightens the color just that very little bit. You do want to be careful what you are sanding on, because any little blip or bump that's underneath your paper, the sander is going to brush that section off first because it raises the paper. So because I have the ripped edges, I've sanded the center of the paper. I'm going to go ahead and distress all the edges of my photos too. Now, because this is a 25th anniversary and it's silver, and I happen to have a scrap of silver paper on my desk, I decided to highlight this title by matting it on a silver piece of paper, and then I'm also doing just a real thin silver border between the pink and the green on my side triangles. Once again, I'm bringing those flowers back to kind of give me an idea of how much space I need. I felt that I needed again to include my thread color. When I say thread color, I am making these all into one album. So this whole month for 30 Days of Sketches, I am doing Disney photos, but they're Disney photos from the 90s. There might be some from the early 2000s, but they're old. Many of them are double exposed photos, so I'm dealing with that challenge. But I'm just going to make one album, and my thread, besides Disney throughout the album, is the color Candy Apple Red. So to include that here, I used the punch my friend MISTI lent to me, and I punched some Mickey heads in various sizes, and I'm just going to tuck those in and among the flower clusters, kind of as like you would baby's breath on a flower arrangement. Just to give it that little color, it kind of gives that nod to, yep, this really is a Disney layout. I encourage you to have fun, just play. Sometimes the rules of, well, you can't, Mickey doesn't belong in a flower arrangement. Who cares? Just do it. I decided that the one little tiny Mickey would be a great center for the flower. I did use thin cuts and do my leaves here. I wanted something different, something a little more whimsical, especially with our pink cake frosted castle. These leaves aren't as traditional. They're more fun. Some are open cuts, and I just like those. So that was just something that I have in my dies. So again, I'm just trying to use stuff in my stash and create a layout with memories. We have unfortunately had to say goodbye to some family members, and it's been kind of a hard year in that way for us, but it just makes it more important to highlight, to preserve, to talk about everyday activities that we can think about. So be sure to check out in the link below. I will have a link for all of my videos, but also everybody that's playing along with the 30 Days of Sketches. There's a playlist so you can see what everybody did with the sketch today. Blessings.